Shalom, Yashara Allah, Shalom, Yashara Allah, Kahalo, Yahweh, Bahashim, Hamashiach, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakaha, Kadash. I'm back to you with another straight to the point moment. And I'm greeting today, and you know, some of my people's native language, what they would say, Oki Sanatapi, Anok Siksikoi, which means, hello, how you doing today? To the brother and the Akim out there that may be watching this lesson here. I won't necessarily be lesson, but I would say something that I'm sharing with the brotherhood is all in the spirit, man. You know, the more I keep looking and observing, the more I keep reading, I'm seeing things more and more through the spirit of the Most High. Kahal Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kakadash. Starting off in the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, and we start at verse 14. That the priests had no courage to serve anymore at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hastened to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise after the game of discus called them forth. And so this, this stood out to me, man. You know, when I thought about my years of playing pro sports, collegiate sports, and even high school athletics, a lot of brothers who get off into these things, you start to notice that even your pastors, the ones that were over you in these churches, they were pushing you off and encouraging you to do these things, that they did take a lot of unlawful allowances. And what I mean by that, they will take, what they would consider church tithes, and hey, if you go to college, we'll give you a $500 stipend. Or if you make it here, we'll get you a car. And they still do this to this day. This is why a lot of our people are still stuck in these churches, because the priests, the so-called priests that are dogs, had no courage to serve anymore. They don't serve the Most High at the altar. They don't give up the truth. They don't make themselves the living sacrifice, but despise that temple and neglect the sacrifice thereof, which is the praises in the Most High, which is the word of God. Those are the sacrifices today, which you submit yourselves a living sacrifice, as Yahweh said. But hasten to be partakers of unlawful allowance in place of exercise. In place of exercise being your gym, all your sports practices, even if it's boxing, some of your gladiator type sports events, right? After discus called them forth. And even on my journey, when I tried to, get on the Olympic circuit, this was one of those things. Verse 15, not setting by the honors of their fathers, not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. And that's our people today, our women, blonde wigs, our men, tattoos, piercings, fraternities, and sororities by our women. These are the things of the Grecians, but not of our fashions, right? Verse 13, going back up top. Now such was the height of Greek fashions, and increased the heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Lazon, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest. Meaning we had no one over us to basically correct us about these things, because they was partaking in it too. As you see today, instead of correcting our nation, as the real prophets, the real men of the Most High, the real sons of God are out doing the day on the highways, the so-called pastors and preachers and teachers and evangelists in these damn churches, they're not doing it. They're furthering our affliction, pushing our people off into these sporting events, and basically distracting them. That's what they've done. So now let's take a look at this magazine, man. Like I said, the more I keep looking at things, I'm starting to see it more, man. They call this ESPN the body issues. I remember this back years ago, about 10 years ago. I think this magazine has been out maybe 11, 12 years, but I remember 10 years ago when they first started. You just notice, I can care less about the heathen, but this here is an Israelite woman right here. That's an Israelite sister, play basketball. Another heathen, there you go, you see a few heathen, you see heathen, and you see some Israelite brothers in the back. Basically the glory of the Grecians, naked as hell as they did in the old time. When you look at a lot of old Grecian relics, these bastards was naked. Even when they went off into battle, they were naked. Heathen, barbarians were they, all right? And now we've adopted these customs and liking the fashion of the Grecians most of all. This is what we put ourselves into. Let's dig deep into this ESPN issue, the body, all right? Let's go into it. Let me drop that. Let's just go down, man. And all these are not Israelite, but some of them. Here go the gay couple here. Go one of our sisters right here. Again, they've made a spectacle of us, man. Look at this nigga here. Salaki. Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, what more can I say? They didn't stuck him in the magazine. You had Serena in the magazine at one point in time. They got countless athletes in here. Look, Antonio Brown. All right. the glory of the Grecians, man. And this brother here, he native. He ain't no Judite. He native. That brother might be Reuben or Gad, but he damn sure Northern Kingdom. Know another pro brother down here right now I used to train alongside that looked exactly like who was Northern Kingdom. Another one, Von Miller. You know, the list goes on and on. Another sister, the sparring sister. They used to spar in the Olympics with fencing, right here. The Zagaga Prescott, right? Another brother, Odell Buckham. Like I said, this magazine has this for years. Aja Evans, Prince Fielder, another Israelite brother, Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, the list goes on and on. Swen Cash, I remember her playing basketball. Vernon Davis. They got my brother, unfortunately, Walter Dixon. I used to train with this brother when I was on the Olympic circuit. Trying to make the Olympic squad. I actually trained with this brother, know this brother personally. Another Northern Kingdom brother, right? I had no idea they had him in the ESPN. This funny as hell. I had no idea he was in him, but I know that brother personally, all right? I know his brother. I know, the list goes on. But let's go back to the scriptures, man. Let's go to the book of 1 Maccabees. Chapter 1, verse 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 14, man. We'll start at verse 13. No, we'll start at verse 12. So this device pleased them well. Notice, this pleased them well. What? In those days went out of Israel, who? Out of Israel, who? Out of Yahshua Allah, wicked men. Who are those wicked men? The men out of our nation. What did they do? Who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. Do what? Make a covenant with the heathen. These are your politicians, all right, your school teachers and board directors of Israelite descent, your pastors, right? All these men and women that held precedence in our communities and our people, they want to make covenants with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have much sorrow. Just the same thing they said in Egypt. Since we left Egypt, we've had much sorrow when we was in the wilderness. Same thing. Verse 12. So this device pleased them well. So now we got sororities, fraternities, sports teams, what they call the brotherhood. You got biker gangs, all this BS that's not of our heritage, but we put ourselves in it. All right, verse 13. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. And so here we find ourselves to this day, still doing the same thing. And I was once a brother that's partaking in it because I had no understanding. And when I got the understanding, I got away from it. I still look back on my time when I made it pro, and it didn't last long when I made it pro. And then I looked at how we went through the combine, how they took body measurements, looked at our hand size, our arm size, muscular build. You had to take your clothes off, as they doing current combines now. They didn't use, they didn't used to show that on TV, but they showed it a few years back with brothers, who had to do our body image on the computer. And now the measurements of who can run the fastest, who jumped the highest, who's the strongest in the bench, who's the strongest in the squat, all types of stupid tests that have nothing to do with the actual sport. But these are the things they set and measure, just like in slavery times when they had us on the slaving block. And they're like, oh, this male slave here, he's strong in stature, he's tall, he works hard, he picks this and that. The same thing they did with the female slaves, same thing, put on the block. This woman here, she produces children, she's submissive. The same damn thing that we see today. Let me keep reading. Verse 13. Then certain of the people were so forward herein. These are your Jay-Z's. These are your LeBron Jameses. All right? These are your Russell Westbrooks. All right? These are your Michael Jordans. These are your Floyd Mayweathers. All right? These are your Will Smiths and your Chris Rocks. Even that in entertainment. For herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Verse 14, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. And we doing these customs as you see in the magazine. We're going to go back to it, verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised. And do what? And made themselves uncircumcised. And that word uncircumcised goes into many contexts. And another context for that is naked. Just like in the garden, the days of Adam and Eve. We made ourselves naked in sinful acts. But here you see lascivious acts here. We broadcast ourselves naked, literally naked. Not both just carnally, but spiritually. Because they took in the mindset of the heathens, man, and likened themselves unto the heathens. And you see it, man. And it's saddening because there was a time where you couldn't get a black woman to pull her clothes off. She was too embarrassed. Even for her husband, there was a submissiveness there that she was afraid to pull her clothes. And that was the shame phrase as it talked about in the scriptures. You know, we don't even have them on. Women just take their clothes off casually now. Some of them walk around naked. Just to draw in attention, to get the attention of a male, all right? They do that today. Sadly, man. Got one sister with clothes on, even her clothes, her outfit she got on now is still to reveal Michelle Carter, shot putter. You know, the list, I mean, it's countless, man. Well, let's go back to the scripture, man. And forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. And that is all mischief. That whole magazine is mischief, man. Now, when the kingdom was established by Antiochus, who was Antiochus, the Greek ruler, he thought to reign over Egypt that he might have dominion over 2 realms. And the 2 realms was basically he reigning over all of the nation of Israel as well as the rest of the world. As you see Esau doing today, he's reigning over 2 realms. He's reigning over 2 realms, man. So with this short, straight to the point moment, this is just dealing with the message, man. That we have partaken in the glory, the heat, the Grecians, the most, all in the spirit, man. And what I would like to say to brothers and sisters off in these sports world, you know, I still train athletes today, and I deal with them on a weekly basis, let them know, hey, man, come out of that, man. Come out of that mindset. This is not the end all be all. And I've had brothers talk to me about the microchip and everything, high level athletes, and they're afraid. And some are literally saying, you know what, I'll take the chip before I give up what I got. It's saddening to hear. All right, but with that, I'm going to give all praise to the Most High God, Kahala Yahweh, Bahashim, Hamashiach Yahushua, Bahashim Rakakadash, and death to America. Shalom, America.